Hey guys, talk about a couple different stocks. I traded ONMD and BTTR, and that's about it. I guess you got pretty lucky on ONMD because I would have been extremely tempted to short a lot of times these hyper aggressive high day clearouts. Um, these like up only massive liquidity swipes are quite weak. But Trade Zero had shares for like a billion dollars, so I didn't have any shares, which actually ended up benefiting me. I lost yesterday on my FFIE long, and a big reason I lost on my FFIE long was because I didn't wait for the second test of the 1 minute 20. So, the way the 1 minute 20 long tends to work, say this is a 1 minute 20, the stock pushes um, it either quickly pulls back or it pushes and you get a walk down. It starts to get walked down to the 1 minute 20 and then it rotates back up. That's what happened here. This actually got walked down. Um, but I was like, you know what? There are times where a stock bounces exactly once off the 1 minute 20 and just ricochets back up. And I often miss those. But I do like to wait for the second test just because it's usually higher odds. I mean, that's usually why. So you miss more trades, but the trades you get in tend to be better. And of course, the bullish thesis on this play is the massive volume. So 4 million shares a minute cannot, you look at volume first. Now, maybe I just thought they were just liquidity squeezing people. But it is super bullish, potentially bullish volume, obviously. And then the high day clear out short trap, right? Essentially, the short I was going to take was going to be a short trap, right? So, how do you long a if you think a high day clear out is going to be a short trap, how do you long it, right? And the answer is you still need a pattern. You still need patterns. You still need books. Um, sometimes high day clear out short traps could be super fast. So, say you get like a push here, get a short trap, it knifes into the 1 minute 20 and immediately rotates. You get those like, those big exhaustion candles that are like 15% pullbacks into some MA, into some bids, usually, especially in a stronger market where these types of trades are working. Um, and even though we had a couple days of weakness, I was still assuming that, I'm pretty used to when the market gets stronger, you still have slow days. Um, and when stocks trade a lot of volume, there's still potential for continuation, right? So clean walk down, right? Like you could see, I told my Discord, I was like, I'm not in short because I don't have shares, so I'm just gonna watch this lockdown. So we get the first test. I'm like, all right, here's the 1 minute 20. Touches it, get a pop, and I covered this in videos that a lot of times those pops, um, stock is this OMMD. A lot of times those pops don't have bids on them, right? Or they have temporary bids. So you actually see right here. Just trying to throw up these temporary bids, temporary bids, temporary bids. Now, a temporary bid, shorting into these temporary bids getting pulled can be a good idea, but it also has to, it has to break key levels. Say if this pushed past these lower highs and started filling these asks up here, and then the bids got pulled, say it made this hyper aggressive move, so this is 2.4, and it pushed all the way to the 2.7s, and then it started pulling bids and started filling these asks and started stalling, then it could be great. But here, it just makes another lower high. You get a lower high, so it continues the walk down. We'll see that. We still got to walk down, and then here's the second test. And usually I would recommend not longing off the 1 minute 20 on a stock that is up like, how much is a stock up? 45. This long was at 250. So the stock's up 300%. Usually not a good idea to long off the 1 minute 20 or 1 minute 50 when the stock's up 300%. Usually not the play. But in this case, it had the volume. So that's nice. It had a potential high declared short trap, so that's nice. But I probably would have not hit this if it wasn't for the book. So we get the second test on support. So you could see the 1 minute 20 right here. And they started stacking even more bids. It's always nice when the second test has additional stacks, right? And not only that, right before this is why I longed into this 250 kind of level getting broken. A bit of a chase, but they came in. You can actually see it right here. Like, there's already a ton of bid stacks, like bid. And this 230 level had about 29,000. And then it becomes 53,000. And then I started seeing them attack this 250 level. After the second test, I was like, oh man, they might be, we've seen times where market makers will purposely stack bids. A lot of times it's a follow-up bid. That's common, but in this case, they're stacking even more bids at support to kind of initiate the stock once it's had enough time to pull back, set up a structure. In this case, the 1 minute 20 walk down, second test of support, and initiate. The problem I actually thought I might be in a long trap here, right? This is actually in a super hyper aggressive move towards high day. No bid follow up, a bunch of ask getting taken out. So I sold some right here, and it started pulling back. I'm like, well, if it starts to knife through 235, I'll just have to get out. That could just be the trade. But the only nice thing about it was how high the volume was. Just like a really, I thought when you start to get 3, 4, or 5 million shares per minute, you could have more confidence in the long. You could wait for the pullbacks, and I was like, well, let me just hold on to it. I already caught 20. I sold some shares on 20% of the move, but then I sold everything to 3. And this is the other kind of important point of this video is if we go back to the chart. I mean, one of the biggest one of the biggest concerns about longing at the top is not only is the trade going to work, in a lot of cases, if you don't have the volume and the right structure and the right short trap, it's not going to work. But what's the continuation looking like, right? Because your average is all the way up here, right? It's all the way at 250, and unless you have constant bid support on these, and this is an obvious short squeeze, right? This is a high clear out. People shorting it. It's squeezing the shorts, right? You need bid follow-up. You need constant bid follow. If you're going to be longing at the top, sometimes you can long at the top and make like 30, 40, 50%, but you need like constant bid follow-up. In this case, I mean, not only was there no bids over here, there was essentially no bids on the push either. And I was like, why don't we just sell in the, I already had the plan that I was going to sell into the 3s unless something on the book really changed my mind. But it really didn't. So I just sold into the 3s. And I didn't look back. I was like, that's my total trade was like 17% or something. I don't know what it was. But I was like, for a long at the top with this type of book, lack of bid follow, like you can't get greedy with no bid structure, right? With longing at, on such an extended ticker. But yeah, it's one of those things. I was watching a lockdown. I did know it was a high day clear out because obviously I would have shorted that, right? Probably would have shorted once these new asks, got a high day clear out, got a secondary bounce, a bunch of new asks start to come in. It was hyper aggressive. I could see why people would take it. But yeah, I just got out, and I just, all right, like, also the other concern is even if it goes higher, even if the stock goes high, in this case it didn't go higher, but even if it went higher, a lot of times it could have come down and shake you out anyways, and then do some midday manipulation later. Let's look at Lucy. Actually, I did short BBTR. This was my other trade. I am usually ultra bearish these 9. I made a 9 a.m. pop video a long time ago, but especially if it's like a 9:20, 9:25, a lot of these like pops right before open fade. How it's instantly bearish, but I was like, you know what? I still want a signal, and I still wanted to be careful. And yeah, it uphalted at open. I usually don't short the 9:30 candle anyway, so I'm like, okay, it uphalted, cool. And then it opened 15% down and did this like support swipe reclaim. I was like, what the fuck? I was like, what the fuck is this? Still bearish because, the volume is still like, it's like 400, 500K. Now, 400, 500 could become a million shares a minute, but, I'm just holding a bearish bias. I did like that they swiped this like up halt level. I didn't want to, because a lot of times when stocks up halt and they open lower, they can be bullish. I actually consider it a bullish factor. For example, we saw it on Lucy. Lucy up halted here on the high to clear out at 99 cents. And it opened at 89 cents, and then it squeezed all the way to 113, and then, of course, 114 after hours. I didn't make a trade on this. I was kind of hoping for some type of rotation up here to look into. We did get one in the after hours, but I didn't really have the read on it. Again, I was actually thinking of shorting when this initiated right here, but I was hoping it would like push to like 110 and I could short it. But anyway, we'll talk about Lucy later. BBTR. I didn't have really a lot of size on this because shares became quite expensive and I had a hard time getting more shares, but I'll show you the book really fast. I'll show you, I guess I should find my chart for it. BBTRF. F is for final. BBTR here. So after the $7 clear out, and I'll show you the book. I took some off at the 1m20ema. Then a good guy in my Discord, Mike Pigeon, I consulted him about fade mechanics on these types of plays, and he kind of gave me his view on it. And I actually decided to hold for more. Seems like a big fade, but the size is actually quite small. But anyways, we'll talk about the book. What am I at? BBTR. Yeah, I was just inherently bearish going to this trade. And yeah, they did this. Here's the high to clear out. Oh yeah, so here's that open lower push. Stacking bids. I saw the bid follow up. I was like, oh man, are they gonna? This looks like a short trap. But then I saw the high to clear out. I saw the volume. I saw some bids getting pulled down here. They pulled it back. They started stacking new bids. And then I simply saw that, I do like to see when it gives these like possible little long trap bounces back towards highs. I love to see the ask get filled. I saw this ask get filled. And then I just simply thought, hey, we have a mini little prop here. We have a few bids, one at 660, one at 650. If those bids start getting taken down, I'm just going to short. Kind of the few shares that I didn't really have a lot. I was just going to short into it. And then, yeah, the bids broke and it just down halted. And I was like, okay, well, as long as it doesn't reclaim my average, I should be fine. And then it just faded. So, but we'll go to Lucy really fast because Lucy was really interesting. Obviously on trade zero. Shout out to Mikey Underdog. Mikey Underdog long this at market open. And we were both looking at this because market open, this is exactly what you want to see. There's a lot of bullish factors in this chart. I listed them in my Discord, but they're all factors I've talked about before, right? So Lucy, first of all, penny runner, pennies, especially if they start trading 1 million shares a minute, always have potential for pushing, but it's not just the volume. You need a good structure for an entry, you need a good book. But I missed this market open long, and Mikey hit it, and that's just because Mikey, he has a lot more experience trading pennies than me. A lot of my longs are on the low float names above $1. But I always track the pennies, always have. And we're in a market where I still think things can push. So we got the quick pre-market pop and pullback, right? Pop, pullback. This could be super bullish, right? A lack of consolidation. Some initial initiation, pullback, some painted lower highs, and opening near its lows. Those are all bullish, right? And not only that, but the stock was only, it was only up like 30% on the day at this level. And Mike even told me, he's like, 22 cents, man, that's a key bid level. I was like, yeah, like a nice pullback. So let's talk about how you actually analyze. If you watch my MGRX video, it's the same thing where, again, I don't really like longing 930 candles. Like when markets open, I usually don't just like to hit. Rare situations I will, but I usually don't. So if you get a push at 930, 931, what you really want to see, and we saw this at MGRX, is you want to see a knife into some bids. And I like the volume. Like it was trading, let's see, 300K to 700K to 1 million. So we got increasing volume hitting 1 million shares a minute. Nice market open volume, nice pre-market structure, the quick pullback, empty space to the upside structure, only up 30%. We're in a market where things are potentially pushing. We had ONMD yesterday, a 45-cent stock that pushed to 1.6, and not to mention all the stuff that happened earlier in the week. So I thought there was potential there for for a penny runner, but I just didn't see the bid structure I liked down here, and Mikey did. Mikey's just a little. The penny book is a little different than the penny book's a little different than low floats. They tend to have like big, large chunk orders where it's like they'll put like 20K here, 50K there, 80K there, and it's a bit different to read than the $2, $3, $5 low floats, but yeah, I saw the push again. A lot of these high volume pushes, this is like 1 million shares a minute. Whenever a lot of these like 9:30, 9:31 a.m. pushes, if they don't have a bid support, even if they're trading good volume and even if the pre-market structure is nice, you risk a knife through the lack of bids. So the read is to wait if you're not, if you don't want to long immediately at market open, is to wait for the knife, right? Wait for the knife and wait for the bids to hold. And the 22 bids were holding, and I saw this soak down here, and I'm like, oh man, like and then here's what I mean. You have like 20K here, 100K shows up here. I guess I can move this over a little bit. And I saw this, and I saw the rotation, and I saw like the million shares of volume come back in, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to chase because there's really no bid follow-up. Let me see if it pulls back and a bid shows up. And like a little bid did show up right here. But, Mikey's more comfortable with logging something like this. And it's not because there's a lack of bids. It's just because penny stocks trade differently, right? I almost chased this move. I decided I'm not just going to chase random knife candles, but I did think that was interesting that they at 9:51 they knifed it into these bids down here and then like squeezed it. But anyway, he killed it, man. He made like 150% or something. Anyway, but going to the chart, I mean, this is so ideal for longs. If you want to have an idea of like, if you guess correctly, what's like some rules of thumb you can use to hold on to your longs for longer periods of time, so not every single one of your longs is a 10-15% winner, and instead becomes you're able to hit 50-100% winners when the potential's there, but you're also able to hit the 10-15% trades, 20% trades. For example, my ONMD long, I'm not expecting a 100% push on that. It's I'm longing at the top of the trade on an extended ticker. But yeah, I mean, this had so many amazing factors. Great pre-market structure. And then the most important part for holding on the longs, on these market open longs, is the increasing volume. When 500K becomes 1 million, and that becomes 2 million, and that becomes 4 million, and it's just like, again, I consider stocks going up the 1 minute 9 on increasing consistent volume to be bullish. It's a bullish factor. Like somebody is just accumulating and buying, and it just shows accumulation and buying intention, man. And you want to be really careful on the consistent increasing volume stocks making new highs. And that's true in the pre-market, it's true market open, it's true on these and then you got the other factors: penny runner, stronger market, nice pre-market structure, Lucy's also been heavily manipulated in the past. That's something to consider. I would say it's a minor bullish factor. The trade I've been, there was a 1 minute 50 walk down. This is a good example of it touches. This is the first 1 minute 20 test, breaks the 1 minute 20. Here's the second test, breaks it. But what does that mean? It means that we're getting walked. It's still in a walk down structure down to the 1 minute 50. Again, I didn't have a read down here. I think I was actually, I think I was trading ONMD, so I wasn't even looking at this at the time. I saw the push. I was like, man, I missed the market open long. I'm so dumb. And then I started looking at other things. And then when I looked back, I was like, oh, 1 minute 50 soak it. Like it's going straight up. Holy jeez. Like I saw, by the time I saw it, it was during this rotation. But yeah, just, and then look at this, man. Even more increasing volume. Your 1 million share per minute became 2, became 4, became 6. Insane. It's ideal. It's so ideal. It is the ideal. And then just like if you're getting increasing volume and the stock is above the, if you want the most like easy brain dead way of holding on to your longs, if the stock is increasing in volume and it's above the 1m20ema, just keep holding. You can keep holding until the 1m9 gets broken, or you could just look at the book, and if the bids on the book start to thin out, and you think there's a risk that there's a lack of bid support. Again, penny books are different than low float books. Mikey's really more of an expert on these than me, but you can use the book if you think there's a lack of bids and the stock's getting extended. You can take profits, right? So, but yeah, Lucy. I mean, look how they do this, man. Massive walk down here, right? Increasing volume, new high, new high, new high, new high. Dump, walk down. And then that's how you trap shorts, man. You trap shorts by faking super aggressive weakness, super hyper aggressive weakness, and then you hit them with the rotation, right? Like, the more aggressive the selling and the more painted the weaknesses on these ultra crazy high volume stocks, right? Stronger it is. It's just one of those counterintuitive things. It's just one of those. It's just it doesn't make sense until you see it happen over and over and over and over and over again. Now, I thought this, I had some buddies that took this short on this rotation, and at least your risk was really tight, right? Because the idea behind this is kind of walk down to the 1 minute 50, and a lot of times at the top, as we'll see, or in this case it was a temporary top, but you'll see these 1 minute 50, the fake 5 minute flag. 1 minute 50, walk down, rotation towards highs, and fade. But, I told him, like, hey, there's a bunch of bidders at 64, 65. Those guys need to get broken. And those guys soaked all the shares and pushed to new highs. So I was like, man, just, that's too bad. But yeah, here's it again. 1 minute 50 walk down, right? Lower highs, clear walk down to the 1 minute 50. Gets to the 1 minute 50. Huge initiation, big stall under high day. I was like, man, if I had, I'm on trade zero. I'm not trading stocks under $1. But I was like, if I had shares, I'd be so tempted to be smacking like, 92 cents up here. And it led to a big fade. It was fading. On these strong stocks, I pretty much always tell people you want to take some off at the 1 minute 200, pretty much for this exact reason. But what's interesting about this midday price action was how the market maker paints lower highs for later. Now, actually, what I thought was going to happen is I thought this would just close kind of weak, and they might come back on Tuesday and attack these lower highs. I was like, we've seen, because at this point, the stock was trading 600 million shares a minute. I was like, hey, we've seen lower high paint from previous days come back and be a factor later, right? Where this, this $1 level and these lower high levels could get attacked. And then what they ended up doing, and again, these guys are such pros. Look at this. You paint the lower highs, and then look at this walk down, walk down, walk down, walk down, walk down. Just perfect. Like an hour and 30 minutes of nothing but lower highs. Actually, it's more like 2 hours. 2 hours of nothing but lower highs up to this point, right? Up to this point. Right, just absolute pros, man. Just building up so much. Again, the more aggressive the selling, the stronger the more bullish the rotation is. So I made a joke in my Discord that this was gonna do this was gonna do a happy face pattern. I used to post this in Mikey's room on really strong stocks. You get happy faces, which is a joke, but also not a joke because it makes sense. Like think about what this is. Like this means it's being walked down, right? Right? Nothing but lower highs. That's what this represents, right? And then you got absorption and the rotation ends up being hyper aggressive because of how aggressive the selling was to the left. So I was like, man, I was like, that's why when this candle came in right here at 302, I was like, oh my God, they're ramping this. Of course, I'm not going to be chasing this long, but I was like, they're really, like, you could see it on the tape that they're just like slapping the ask. Like, there's a bunch of orders going through the tape on the ask. And I was like, man, they're ramping it. And yeah, they just squeeze straight through those lower highs. You can never discount the lower highs. Doesn't matter if the stock's up 100%, 300%, 500%. You can't discount it, man. You just can't. So, yeah, I will say, a lot of times these deep support high day rotations are very bearish. It's often a sign that the stock is going to top, especially in the more aggressive the high day squeeze is from deep support. The less likely the stock is to continue. I will say I wasn't going to short. Again, I usually like to wait for the push, the pullback, and then the rotation and make a read on the rotation. That's usually how I like to trade. I will say that in terms of this, I would never hit $1 here, $1 here, $1 here. Because I know, what do I know? I know shorts are hitting $1. I know the average retail short is going to be smacking $1 here. And I know a lot of longs are going to be taking profits at $1 too. So if I know it's a level that, especially if retail shorts are likely to hit, because they perceive it as resistance for whatever reason, I'm going to want that level to get squeezed, and then I want to make a read. So I was telling my Discord, I was like, man, I really want this to push like 110s and then make a read, right? Have it pull back, get some people stuck, have it rotate another 10, sometimes even rotates like another 20%, and then make a read, right? Shake out the $1 people. But yeah, I mean, this traded so much volume, guys, that this could still go on a multi-day run. Like, who knows what's going to happen next week on this name. Traded 932 million shares, so can't discount it. And then now you got this big dump, empty space structure over here. But it might keep pulling back. I mean, I'm not gonna long this or anything. But something to keep an eye on. I did see my 110 level get broken, and they had a big wick into a big 110 seller right here. Debated hitting it, but I decided just to wait for the rotation. Rotation didn't happen until the after hours, and I didn't really have a read. Again, if this soaked and pushed up here, I probably would have done something. But anyway, Lucy, crazy play. It was a lot of fun watching it, even though I literally did not trade it. So that's it for today. 3-day weekend. You guys have a good one. If Mikey Underdog makes a video on this, I highly recommend watching it. So information down below for the Discord, and you guys have a good one. See ya.